led countless numbers of people to Christ. In fact, he was one of the first pastors of Calvary Chapel, Jerusalem. He was right there just getting after it, leading others. It wasn't really Calvary Chapel, okay, sorry. The potential is there. And the potential is there for every one of us. God sees the big picture. So, John the Baptist preaches Jesus, this congregational setting. Andrew believes. Now there's relational evangelism going on when he tells his brother Simon Peter. What happens next? Look at verse 43. The following day, all this is going on. The following day, Jesus wanted to go to Galilee. And he found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." And Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Pause right there. What do we see here? Supernatural evangelism. Jesus says, all right, I want to go to this other town. And you know what? I got this dude on my mind right here. I'm going to find Phil. I'm going to zero in on Phil. And I'm going to go to him one-on-one. Phil, enough of these shenanigans. No more. Come follow me, dude. Now. What happens after that? Phil goes, all right, you got me. And some of you right here, you've been stiff-arming God for a long time. And finally, he's going to... Come on, dude, give it up. Quit stiff-arming me. I got a great plan for your life, which is exactly what happened in my life. Finally, I surrender. What happens next? First thing that Phil does, what? Relational evangelism. Finds his homeboy Nate. Finds. What am I talking here? Finds Nate. What do you think Nate was? I was kind of thinking this in my mind. Phil found Nate. Well, maybe Nate was a co-worker. Maybe they worked, they were both fisher fellas together. They're on the same fishing boat. I don't know. They worked out at the gym together. And Nate, dude, is he spotting him, Dude, I gotta tell you, I found Jesus. He's the one that's been prophesied by Moses in the law. All the books of Moses. You look through that in the Old Testament, Jesus was predicted. The Messiah, prophesied. It was Moses. How about the prophets? Isaiah, Jeremiah. It was all talking about Jesus to come. Come on, follow him. And I like Nate's response. Come on, dude. For real? Quit giving me all this Jesus stuff. You guys heard that before? Know this. When you are sharing Jesus with others, you'll get this response. It's just part of it. You'll have a variety of responses. You'll have some people that will go, because you built a pretty good sound relationship with them, they know you. They'll be like, all right, I'll consider that. But some people maybe you haven't built that great of a relationship with, they'll go, dude, you're going to be a Bible beater too? Holy smokes, you're killing me. Don't let that deter you. One thing that we've learned, to love people, to share Jesus, but then have no agenda. Leave the results up to God. You are on, as a Christian, again, we've talked about, you're on salary, not commission. You allow God to love people and share Jesus through you. But don't worry about the results. God will take care of those. You don't have the power to convert people anyway. Right? Turn to 1 Corinthians 3. We'll see that. 1 Corinthians 3. Paul reminds the church in Corinth that very fact. Because what was going on in the church in Corinth, we talked about this when we went through the book. This church is starting to form. People are starting to follow Jesus. But because God's using certain speakers in different ways, some of the people started following the speaker instead of following Jesus. Paul's like, all right, dude, I gotta set the record straight here. It's not about me. It's not about Apollos. It's not about Cephas. It's about Jesus. Watch what he says here. 1 Corinthians 3 and 5. He said, who then is Paul? And who is Apollos? 1 Corinthians 3 and 5. But ministers through whom, I boxed that into my Bible, through whom you believed as the Lord gave to each one. I planted, Paul's saying, I gave the word out. Apollos watered. He continued to share the things of Christ. But, here it is, and I underlined this in my Bible. Underline it if you have a pencil. God gave the increase. So then, neither he who plants is anything. Paul's saying, I'm just a vessel. It's not about me. Nor he who waters. It's not about Apollos. But it's God who gives the increase. Now, he who plants and he who waters are one. We're a team, guys. We're a team. The pastor down the street, the other ministries in Omaha, we're a team. We're just vessels through which God is sharing his truth and love. We're one. Each one will receive his own reward according to his own labor. I love that. I love that. Love with no agenda. You know, we read this book lately. Some of you guys might have read it. It's called The Shack. And the way I kind of share with people, when you read books like that, eat the meat, spit out the bones. I mean, there's some really, really great stuff in there. But make sure you don't get choking on a bone. I mean, there's some things that maybe aren't biblically lined up perfectly. Eat the meat, spit out the bone. One of the nuggets of meat, the filet mignon for me, I'm in chapter 10. I'm in North Carolina. I'm reading it, looking on the mountain. And me as a pastor, I'm always loving on people. I'm always sharing, but I always have an agenda. I think I've shared this with you before. Always have an agenda. I'll look out in the crowd here. I'll look at a young student. I'm loving on you because I want you to just get it. Get it. Like, I don't want you to have to go through all the stuff I had to go through. I have an agenda. Or I'll see a couple that's struggling. I'm sharing. I'm loving you, but please, I don't want you to have to go through all that. I know where you're heading. See, as a pastor, I always have an agenda. I'm reading The Shack, chapter 10. He says, God's talking to this guy. It's like a kind of conversation in this book. And this guy's feeling burdened because I got to do stuff for God. And God says, dude, you know what? I've given you a measure of faith to be able to love on people with no agenda. Don't worry about the outcome. Let me handle that. Well, I tell you, it was like a big boulder came off my shoulders. It's like I was, it's like I had 4 plates on there. And I was just, carrying it around. And it was like, and that's the challenge to you guys. Are you bringing people to Jesus? If so, don't worry about the results. They're not yours. Let God take care of that. Boy, that was a challenge to me. Back in John chapter 1, he found Philip. He went out of his way to find Philip. That was supernatural evangelism. He said, follow me. Phil finds Nate. That's relational evangelism. We have found the Messiah, the power of personal testimony. You might not have all the answers. Share what God's done in your life. Share it. You don't have to give this huge Bible study to someone. Just share what God has done in your life. That was one of the most important things for me as a new believer, not knowing any of the Word. I kind of just tell you, man, I began this relationship with Jesus, and He's changed my life. Then leave the results up to Him. Verse 46 of John 1. Verse 46. Nate said to him, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Philip said, what was his response? What's Phil's response? Come and see. Come and see. Notice right there that he didn't argue. Phil didn't say, yes, something good can come out of Nazareth, and I'll tell you what it is. And had this great debate. You know what he did? Come and see, man. Come and see. One of my favorite things about us as human beings is God's given us free will. He's given us free will choice. So you can say, hey, let me tell you this about Jesus. Come on, whatever. You kidding me? Hey, just come and see. You make the choice. Again, another way just to free yourself up from that. Okay, verse 47. Jesus saw Nate coming toward him, and he said, look, or behold, Jesus talking now, an Israelite indeed in whom there is no deceit. And Nate said to him, how do you know me? I can picture that. That's a great question. I'm God and stuff, like I know who you are. Jesus answered and said to him, before Philip called you, before he was telling you about me, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. And Nate answered and said, oh my goodness, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the king of